Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really interesting, Leica. Specifically, their move into wristwatches, and we'll be focusing on the brand new ZM12 collection.
Yeah, it's a fascinating step for a company so, rooted in photography. And to really get it, you have to look back at Leica's history. It starts way back 1870 with Ernst Leitz I.
Right, the founder. And he had this background in precision mechanics, didn't he? Even apprenticed with a Swiss watchmaker, I read.
Exactly. That expertise in mechanics, that's like the foundation for everything. Microscopy, optics, and then, of course, the camera that changed everything.
The first successful 35-millimeter camera.
Yeah.
That precision engineering, it's always been their thing. And now it connects directly to these watches.
Totally. So when the ZM1 and ZM2 watches appeared in 2022, it felt kind of sudden to some, but it was actually a decade in the making.
A whole decade. Wow.
Yeah. It was really a passion project for Dr. Andreas Kaufmann, Leica's chairman. He's a big watch guy himself and wanted something that truly felt Leica.
And they didn't just slap their name on something. 10 years of development. They brought in Achim Heine, the designer behind a lot of the Leica look.
Right. Heine for the design and Lehman Precision for the really high precision mechanical parts. A German firm, very respected.
That collaboration led to their own movements, the LH10 and LH20, and they had some pretty unique features, didn't they?
Oh, definitely. That push crown system, for instance. You push it like a shutter release, and it resets the seconds to 0. Very clever.
Yeah, it connects directly back to photography. Yeah. And the power reserve indicator looked kind of like aperture blades.
Exactly. Little details like that. Then came the ZM11, which sort of built on that, had that really interesting dual-layer dial.
Right, playing with light and shadow. Very photographic. And a new movement, too, the LA3 Mauser 1, developed with Quinaud, Jean-François Mojon.
That's the one. Quinaud are experts in, high-end movement development. So each step has been deliberate.
Okay, so that brings us to now, the ZM12. It feels like a refinement, taking what worked and making it maybe more accessible.
I think that's a good way to put it. It refines the ZM11's ideas, especially that layered dial, but in a more compact package. So yeah, let's dive into what makes this ZM12 special, especially if you're someone who values, precision design and that link to history.
Okay, let's unpack the ZM12 then. That dial seems like the place to start. It's not just color, it's about how it's made, right? The structure.
Exactly. Leica's really stressing the structure over just, printing something on the surface. There's actually no printing that creates that depth.
No printing at all. So how do they do it?
It's this pretty intense 30-step process. It takes 2 or 3 weeks for each dial. They're etching, blasting, and polishing 2 solid brass plates.
2 separate plates? Wow.
Yeah, and then they hand lacquer the edges of the top grill. So you get this real physical depth.
Okay, I see. So it's not flat, it has actual dimension that must catch the light in interesting ways.
It really does. You get subtle color shifts, and there's a sunburst finish underneath that enhances it. It's designed to change as you move. And visually, the big difference from the ZM11 is the small seconds dial down at 6 o'clock.
Ah, right. Adds a bit of classical watch design feel, maybe. And no date window, I noticed.
Correct. No date. Keeps it very symmetrical, very clean, purely focused on time telling.
Speaking of clean, the size is a big deal here, isn't it? 39 millimeters. That's new territory for Leica watches.
It is. First time they've gone below 41 millimeters. And that 39 millimeter size, combined with a 13 millimeter thickness and well-shaped lugs, it just makes it much more wearable for more people.
Comfortable for all day wear, you mean? Without looking too small.
Exactly. It still has presence, but it's designed for comfort. And you can get it in steel or titanium, which affects the weight and feel too.
And the colors, they seem quite distinctive. Not your typical watch palette.
Yeah, they're interesting. For the steel models, you've got a blue-orange, quite bold, an olive-black, very sort of subtle and sophisticated, and a silver-gray, which is more classic.
Okay. And the titanium?
The titanium comes in a chocolate black, really elegant, I think. They all feel very Leica, very considered choices.
Right. Okay, let's get under the hood. The movement. Leica caliber LA3002. How is it different from the LA3001 and the ZM11?
It's an evolution, again, developed with Quinaud. The main mechanical difference is actually because of that small seconds at 6.
Oh, how so?
Well, to move the seconds display away from the center, they had to add an extra gear train on the dial side of the movement. It's a specific modification for this layout.
Ah, got it. So it's not just sticking a sub-dial on. It required actual engineering changes. What about the specs?
Pretty solid specs. It's automatic, beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour. That's 4 hertz. Gives you a smooth second sweep. 60-hour power reserve, which is good.
Decent weekend proofing.
Yeah. And importantly, they regulate each one in 5 positions, aiming for that magna 4 to plus 6 seconds per day accuracy range. Chronometer territory, basically.
And they talk about hand finishing and testing.
They do. Emphasize the hand finishing, an 8-month testing period for the movement design, and limited production. That all points to, a focus on quality over quantity.
And you can see this movement through the back, right? Sapphire case back. What's the vibe back there?
Yep, sapphire case back. The look is, I'd say, purposeful, clean. You see brushed surfaces, some skeletonized bridges, so you can see the gears, nice beveled edges. It's not overly decorated, but it looks very well engineered. It fits the Leica aesthetic, functional beauty.
Makes sense. Now, Leica is known for details, and that apparently extends to the straps. There's something about the M6 camera involved.
Yeah, you remembered. It's the strap changing system. It's got this quick release mechanism that works just like the lens release button on the M6 camera. You press a little red dot and the strap pops off.
No tools needed. That's pretty cool. Nice little nod to their heritage.
Exactly. Very tactile, very user-focused, which feels very Leica.
And there are options for straps and bracelets, I assume?
Oh yeah, quite a few. There's an orange rubber one with this inverted clou de Paris texture, a beige textile strap that looks quite rugged but refined, a simple black rubber too.
And they all taper.
Yeah, 22 millimeter at the lugs, down to 20 millimeter at the buckle, standard stuff. And then there's the bracelet option.
Metal bracelet, available for both steel and titanium.
Yep, matte titanium bracelet for the titanium watch, naturally. And a mix of brushed and polished stainless steel for the steel versions. Integrated design, removable links, butterfly clasp, the whole package.
Sounds like they've thought it through from case to clasp. So looking at the ZM-12, what does this signal about Leica's bigger picture for watches? Are they really serious about this?
I think it shows they're very serious, but also very patient. They're keeping production limited. They're focusing on their core values, precision, restraint, clarity. Dr. Kaufmann actually said, we have time.
We have time. I like that. It's just, they're not just chasing quick wins. They're building something lasting.
Exactly. It's a long-term investment, focusing on getting it right, building collaborations, refining the product.
So, summing up the ZM-12, what's the takeaway? Why should someone maybe look at this watch?
Well, I think the ZM-12 is a really significant step. It's more compact, more wearable. The detail, especially on that dial, is fantastic. It feels even more distinctly Leica somehow.
How so? That Leica feel.
It's the way the light hits the dial, the shape of the case, the precision you feel in the movement. It all comes together. It feels less like just a watch and more like a Leica instrument, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. And the price point, where does it sit?
It starts around $6,690 US, going up to about $8,935, depending on if you go for steel or titanium strap or bracelet.
Okay, so a serious watch, but maybe a more accessible entry into Leica horology than the very first models.
I think so. It's compelling for someone new to Leica watches, definitely.
Sure.
But it also deepens the connection for anyone who already knows and appreciates their cameras. There's that shared DNA, precision, design, that focus.
It really is fascinating seeing them translate that photographic heritage into watchmaking. It's not just branding. It feels like applying the same core ideas.
Absolutely. It's like they're tackling time with the same mindset they use for capturing a moment, that focus on precision, on clarity.
So a final thought for you listening. As you think about the Leica ZM-12, maybe consider this. How does that whole philosophy of capturing the decisive moment in photography translate to how you experience time? What does it mean to wear a piece of that thinking on your wrist? Something to ponder. We definitely encourage you to look more into Leica's watches and that link to their incredible photography history. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.